Well, the latest Concord gameplay is getting a lot of mixed feedback. Some people saying that it looks great and they're enjoying it, while there are a lot of similarities to Destiny, and others saying that it doesn't look very good. In my recent upload, I argued that it looks worse. I break down the font choice, the UI, the HUD, but I really do spend some time talking about the similarities to Destiny. I actually talked about this before. I have another video on the channel calling it a big risk, and then recently argued that I think it looks worse. I don't think it actually looks better than their initial gameplay trailer, with some of the footage being released on outlets like IGN. And what I wanted to talk about today is this just going to be too much Destiny? Are they making a significant mistake by having sort of one-to-one animations, movement, jump style? Obviously gunplay, it's okay if the gunplay is similar to Destiny because Destiny has great gunplay. But looking at this game, I argue also in that video, and go check it out, I look at saturation now, saturation in the present, and I sort of break down what I think is going to be hurting this game's appeal, this game's ability to get a lot of players. So once you check out that video, you will know what I think. And now it's time to hear what you think. So thank you guys so much for being here, and we greatly appreciate the support of the channel. We appreciated all the members this morning hanging out in Morning Coffee, a brand new segment that we launched just for members. We start at around 9:30, and I'm sorry, we start at 9. We hang out until 9:30. The upload goes live at 9:30. Let me do one thing to the camera really quickly. I forgot to do the white balance button push. It'll just keep going up and down on the white balance. Anyway, but yeah, if you're a member, you can start every day now with us at 9 o'clock. We hang out for about 30 minutes, and then we head over to the premiere, and then we come here to discuss it. So curious what you guys think. Kirk's in chat. We're going to be talking The First Descendant later, guys. He has a review on his channel that's doing very well. So check out his review. Throw it some love. Throw this video some love. Let's get some likes. Let's get the first 100 likes. We just started streaming. And Kirk says, I don't think it can be too much Destiny when pretty much all the original core Destiny PvP creators and player base have migrated away. Now, I don't know if I would ever be able to make that statement, or I don't know if anybody can make that statement, that the original core Destiny PvP creators and player base have migrated away. I think a good portion of the people still playing Destiny's PvP are the core audience, the people that have been there since the very beginning. I don't know if Destiny's PvP has ever been built to appeal to new players, right? Are they all clamoring to get in there? I don't think so. I think a lot of the people who still play are the core audience. And let's look at some of the comments on the video. Anytime you guys leave a comment on a video, you might be featured in the live show. Hadigan Matter commented and said, I'm just no longer interested in generic PvP hero shooters. I had this game, had a strong beloved IP tied to it perhaps, but as it is, there's just too many other interesting games that are coming out. I definitely think that that's true. I think that there are a lot of other games not only out but coming out, and I mentioned that in the video as well. Kirk left a comment and said, not much of what you're saying feels to me like a negative except for the not free part, which I think could ultimately be the game's undoing. As far as Destiny Hero Shooter, the premise is fantastic. I just don't know that the majority of people are willing to drop 40 on it. Can't believe this isn't a day one PS Plus. And and who asked for hero shooter Destiny? Destiny's already got hero elements in it, right? Is this going to feel massively distinct from Destiny? Do you see what I'm saying? I think it will, but again, is it going to feel distinct enough? Are people going to feel like it stands on its own? If that makes sense. You forgot to mention Fragpunk is coming too. The card system is a cool addition to the hero shooter genre, and the gunplay in the alpha is amazing. I think Concord will be DOA. I have not had a chance to look much at Fragpunk. I saw it and thought very similarly to what I thought about Concord. It's I don't know if hero shooters are the right call right now. I really don't. Now, I said similar things about extraction shooters. We started seeing all these games announce and say coming soon and wish lists and all of that, and they were saying, hey, we're an extraction shooter. And I'm like, well, how many extraction shooters can you possibly have? I said that they're going to start stepping on each other, and I think that that's bound to happen also with hero shooters, given that there are already hero shooters in the market. Like, I just think that that's a it's not a given, but it's almost a given. Jazzification with 24 months in a VIP. Welcome back. Thank you so much. That's 2 years, Jazzification. Thank you guys so much. And hey, it's a new month. It's July, and that means the goal is a little bit easier to hit this week. 300 members for the first week, and we can do stretch goals, obviously, because you guys like to go crazy. But every week, the first week of the month, the goal is to make me go back into a rage game. So if you guys want to make me fight the swamp monster in Liza P, you got to hit 300. We can throw some modifiers on there if you hit stretch goals beyond that. So thank you guys so much for doing that. And we had a blast Friday night. We played Party Animals with Creature. It was hilarious. You guys unlocked that. We had a blast. Keep hitting those goals, and we'll keep having those great fun Friday nights. Right now, all you got to focus on is hitting that like button. And let me know in chat what you think. Is this game going to be too much Destiny? GC Plugs got to play it and said that it's missing a little something. He's left a comment on the video, and he said it could use a little more Destiny. It's a bit sluggish. That will turn folks off for sure. I think if it's too sluggish, if it's too slow, that'll turn people off. I think the TTK looks a little drawn out, but it kind of needs to be for a game like this. So it feels like a combination of things that shouldn't be combined. You've got, claustrophobic, tight-cornered lane maps that remind me of Destiny. But then you have elongated TTK because there is an element to this game that has to be thoughtful and not really fast. Like, you have to have a certain amount of survivability in these games to make plays, to use your abilities, and to move about the map. So it doesn't feel like a great combination from what we've seen. All my homies hate Murph. Why do they hate Murph? Yo, Lazaro with 19 months says, already looking forward to what this channel brings. It keeps getting better and better. Love the new changes. We'll continue to support. Yo, thank you for getting close to that 2-year mark, Lazaro. Thank you so much for 19 months. And Krayos with 11 months in a VIP. Crazy to think it's already been this long since I've been a member. You never cease to keep me entertained with a great personality and a lot of charisma. Hey, I appreciate it. That's very kind, man, Krayos. And thank you for 11 months, almost a whole year of membership. Welcome back. Too much Halo, not enough Call of Duty, says Fuzzy. I don't know if you would want this game to even be remotely similar to Call of Duty. You don't want to be dying really fast in a game like this. But because of the nature of the map design and the movement, it feels weird to have the slow TTK. Paul says, I find they can make a Destiny Halo feeling game in Unreal interesting. This is the first game really going for it. Do we know? Is this in Unreal, Paul? But we were asking that question earlier. We weren't sure what engine the game was in. GC Plugs with 24 months of memberships. That's 2 entire years. I feel another thing that's hurting is no supers, no environmental effects. It's just a bit bland. I do feel it has potential, but... And welcome back, Kirk. As a member, thank you so much for jumping back in, my friend. What was the game that came out and looked unique, played well, but Overwatch decimated it? Battleborn. Yeah, Battleborn. Oh, it's UE5. I mean, if they can capture the Destiny feel in UE5, that'll be something for sure. The gunplay and the movement of Destiny is just, it's one of its major selling points. Mash says to Hadigan matter. He says, well, why would it? Overwatch and Valorant are hugely propped up by giant studios behind them and the existing popularity of those. You had to re-up? Yeah, you had to re-up. Granted, I only played one character, so yeah, I should have played as more of them. Yeah, maybe it was a little slow and floaty because you were on a slow and floaty character. Maybe some of the other characters are a little bit snappier, maybe faster. Maybe they have a little bit more agility. The Professional left a comment and said, regarding originality, the criticism is well-deserved, but the gameplay looks fun, and I will give it a shot. Definitely looks fun, but hard to last without uniqueness. I think that's the big thing, is it's like, I made sure to stress that in the video. I'm like, I think it does look fun. You're not wrong to say that it looks fun. But that's not enough. I don't think that that's enough. I think you need more than that. I think you've got to have something fresh and new to hook people, or you'll be old news in a couple of months. It'll just be another hero shooter that, nobody pays much attention to. Have you forgotten the counter? Forgotten the counter? What are you talking about? Have I forgotten the counter? What counter? I love Battleborn. A shame that it couldn't compete with Overwatch. I mean, Battleborn didn't... The real problem with Battleborn is it could have been a great PvE game, but even the PvE was designed poorly. Mile High with 26 months on a VIP, still refusing to downgrade, my man. And a 20 bomb from MASH! He says, let's start the week strong. That sat there for a while. That's a Han shot first, and so did you. First gifted of the day, and it's a 20 bomb. 0 to 25. Dave, we have never counted re-ups in that number. I would be bad for me. I can't count re-ups. That doesn't make any sense. The membership counter is still at 0. Yeah, until MASH did the 20 bomb, it was at 0, brother. We have never counted re-ups. That would be ridiculous. That would completely work against me. Like, if you counted re-ups and I gifted 5 every 25, it would be incredibly counterproductive. The goal of the 25 is, hey, for every 25 new, I give 5 back to the community as a thank you. We can't do it on re-ups. There's way too many of you. MASH wanted to make sure I bought my own first. That's right. He was waiting for Kirk to do his own membership. That's right. Overwatch was just too popular, so nothing else had much of a chance. Yeah, but Battleborn just made bad decisions. Like, I tried to play Battleborn as a PvE game with my wife. We were huge Borderlands fans, and we tried to play it. And it was just bad. It was designed poorly. It was stupid. The way they had it set up was incredibly stupid. Like, there were certain characters, like, if you wanted to unlock them, you had to play through missions, and the mission design was incredibly dumb. No checkpoints. So you would get all the way to the end of a mission, 45 minutes to an hour. And there was one where we had to, like, get this guy out of a cage. I can't remember exactly what it was. And they introduced a couple new mechanics, and it was kind of challenging. And we failed. And I thought, okay, no big deal. We had a bunch of lives left. And instead of just putting us back at a checkpoint and taking a life away, they just failed the mission, and they're like, no, you got to run it again. It was like, wait, what? The design of Battleborn was one of the primary reasons that it didn't do well. Overwatch certainly kicked it and made it hard on it. I won't deny that at all. But I think Battleborn would have flopped regardless. I don't think it was a good game. Sadly, I think the ego of Randy Pitchford is why Battleborn exists. He didn't want to be known as the Borderlands studio, and so they tried to do something new, and I think they got clobbered for it. It was like, this isn't a good game. This clearly isn't your core competency. The absolute tragedy of Battleborn is they could have made an amazing Borderlands with all of those characters. They could have done like a Borderlands universe or something nuts, and it would have been phenomenal, and they could have learned a lot of great lessons, and it really could have influenced the future of it, whatever. So, like, I don't think Battleborn died specifically because of Overwatch. Overwatch certainly didn't help it. Now, when it comes to Concord gameplay, I see nothing but Destiny in with different abilities. It's like some of those maps, literally, I'm like, I think I've played on that map. There's the one where they end up outside, like next to water, and I'm like, I swear to frick, I've played that map where, like, you come down a flight of stairs, there's like a circular area, there's typically, people out there waiting for you, and then it drops off into water like an oil rig setup. I swear to you, I have played that map in Destiny. There were corridors, there were rooms, there were setups, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I've played on that map in Destiny. Not recently, but I have at some point in time. And I was like, I just see nothing but Destiny, bro. And That doesn't matter if you're just wanting to have fun, but I think it matters if you want the game to last on its own merits. I think you're going to have a lot of people come in and say, well, why wouldn't I just go play Destiny? Well, why wouldn't I just go, make a character in Destiny and get different weapons and try out different things instead of having to play as like a set hero? It's a lot like that, yeah. Yeah, I swear, that's Rusted Lands you're referring to. I'm telling you, there was one where I was like, I saw the footage and I was like, I swear that's a Destiny map. Broken Lobo left a comment and says, great video, thoughtful analysis. Man, thank you so much for watching, Broken Lobo. Appreciate you guys leaving comments on the upload. You might get featured in the live show when you do that. I wouldn't want to just play Destiny because I want to try a different game. Okay, but here's what I'm saying, though, Leonidas. If you go and you try a game that feels familiar but isn't quite as good, or the movement's not quite as good, or, whatever the case may be, then my question to you would be, wouldn't that maybe motivate people to just go back? Or wouldn't that motivate you to go back? That's the issue, is that if you play something that feels like it's simply biting on the style of another game, it may just drive you back to that game. That's happened to people before when they play a game. That happened with... I know that happened with Battleborn. People tried both, and it just drove them into the arms of Overwatch, right? Now, obviously, Battleborn couldn't have taken inspiration from Overwatch because they came out at the same time. But that happened. It was like, well, no, this game feels better. I'm going to go play this game. Someone in here said this would be an easier way to access Destiny for new players. I think that's a good point. It's like you said earlier, Destiny PvP is for the core players, not new ones. Yeah, but wouldn't that mean the game should be free? Who's gambling? I just don't know who's gambling on a PvP only game for $40. I just don't. Most people are just going to go play one of the free games. The Concord maps look great artistically. So out of touch, it's ridiculous. Make an argument. That's just an assertion. Why am I out of touch? Have you seen the like ratios on these videos? People are not vibing with Concord, bro. I personally would rather play Concord than ever pick Destiny back up again. Destiny is an MMO-light PvE game. The pure PvP experience is just circumstantially cumbersome. I mean, I have always said that a purely PvP game is the way to go, right? I've always said that. Like, if you want to make a great PvP game, then make a great PvP game. I said this when people were like, oh, they should put PvP in Helldivers. And I was like, no. If you want a PvP game, go play one. There's a bunch of them. You can play Fortnite, PUBG, Warzone, Apex Legends, Valorant, CSGO. There is an ocean of really great, polished, refined PvP games out there because that's all they are. Maybe he means charging $40 is out of touch. No, I think he's saying I'm out of touch because his previous statements were in defense of the game. I think it had to be free to play personally. I don't think an entry price point is a good idea. It's the reverse meme of we have Destiny at home. B4110 says, there are a lot of people that do like it when PvP games have a cost. This according to them helps keep out the cheaters as there is a cost to get into the game. I think there's some truth to what you're saying, B41. I do. I think there's some truth to what you're saying. However, the issue becomes you're new. You've got something to prove. No one's played your game. No one knows who you are. No one knows what your team is capable of. Nobody knows if your game's going to be around in 6 months. So, you've got to make access easy. You got to make access easy. If you don't, you're going to make it difficult to fill the funnel. The begging for free games is a problem. I'm not begging for free games. I'm saying that that's a huge hurdle. Eugene says, I'm more interested in a walled garden PvP than free to play. Savage Sharkbite with 34 months and a VIP. Eugene says that's what a beta is for. Sure. And the beta may convince people. It may convince people that this game has what it takes. But you can go play very soon on console as well, Valorant for free. Rivals will be free. Fortnite is free. Warzone is free. PUBG is free. Apex is free. Like, it's not a matter of... Like, I hear what you're saying, and I definitely agree that when a game has people that have paid money to get in, cheating potentially goes down. But here's the thing you're forgetting. You're forgetting the fact that the cheating epidemic is one that has been propagated by companies that sell cheats, literal subscriptions to cheat. I don't think $40 is the biggest. I don't think the size of the hurdle is worth what it's actually going to do. I think it's going to hurt and hinder your potential ability to garner a bunch of players, and the actual people that you keep out and keep from cheating. I don't think that there are going to be that many that would say, well, yeah, the game's $40, so I'm not going to buy it. They literally pay for cheats. They pay for subscriptions to cheating software. Valorant's closed beta has already launched. You get free codes for your friend as well when you get in. Oh, nice. Yo, it's good, Donnie. You're extremely excited about Walled Garden PvP. I don't know if it's going to make a bit of a difference, though. How much is cheating an issue in Overwatch? Actual question. Oh, yeah, I don't know. I've not researched cheating in Overwatch. I'm admitting that the price charging for the game will certainly keep out cheaters. But I don't know if it's that big of a barrier. If people want to go into Concord and cheat, they're going to do it. They're actively paying for access to cheating software. They're actively paying for subscriptions and access to cheating software, and you're like, yeah, but if they have to pay for the game, that's going to be a huge deal breaker. Free to play means everyone could play it also without needing a PSN sub. Oh. Right. The free to play games don't require PSN. This will require PSN. So maybe they're getting you on both. Maybe that's another way of trying to get people. That's another barrier. No, that's actually a really good point. That's a better point than the price point itself. The fact that they'd have to buy the game, and because they have to buy the game, then they have to pay for PSN for the online access, which is another hurdle for them to create an account. Okay, yeah, I actually think that's not a terrible argument then, that it'll actually help minimize cheating. I think that's fair. Not even just cheaters, it keeps out people who don't have an interest in the game and just want to troll around. Yeah, no, I mean, okay, yeah, so what you're basically saying, Jastification with the gifted member takes us to 21 members on the day. The goal is a lot easier this week. We only need 300 members on the week, and I have to go back into Liza P on Friday night. I'm going to be on Bachelor time. Well, not Bachelor time. I'm going to be on Solo Dad time starting Wednesday. My wife's taking a trip. I'm really excited for her to get to take this trip with some friends. But I'll be flying solo. So Friday night's going to be a blast. It'll be just me. And, yeah, you guys can make me go back in and fight the stupid swamp monster in Liza P. Too much Destiny is a good thing gameplay-wise. Destiny has some of the best gameplay. I don't disagree with you if they can mimic the gunplay. I worry that it won't be a unique experience if the movement and the map design is too reminiscent of Destiny. It won't stand out. It won't have like its own identity. It'll almost feel like it's attached to Destiny in some way, which may help it. It could also hurt it. That could go either way, honestly. Excuse me, comrades in Russia. No. I think that will depend on the size of the active player base is Smash. It doesn't make sense to keep supporting it to anywhere near the level the player base is small and not sustained. Well, and I talked about that a little bit in the video. I think Creature made an edit because it flowed differently than I remember it going. But I did make the point that they may be going for something else. Their strategy here might not be weird comments like this. Xbox is apparently number one. I said number one in what? Weird comments like this? Like this video about Concord. They may not care about being the next big live service game. Like, do you remember... I talked about this in the video. Helldivers 2 didn't even remotely expect the player response that they got. They had much more meager expectations. And it's a $40 live service PvE only game I would say it's a pretty narrow offering of content. It's a great and fun and extremely bombastic, exciting game, but it's a very narrow offering. Okay? And according to the headlines, it's lost 90% of its player pool. Ooh. And Pow World lost 90% of its player pool. Ooh. I'm so tired of these headlines. Neither of those are true. Anyways. They may be looking at Concord and just saying, we don't expect this to be some big, huge, massive game. If it makes it to 2 years, we're happy. We'll gain a bunch of insight, bunch of knowledge. You know, we got to prove that we can make a good live service game. A good live service game doesn't need to go for 10 years. You know, they may be looking at this completely differently. So they may be totally fine with the Destiny comparisons. They're like, you know what? We'll take some of those Destiny players. We don't care. Darth Nihilus with 30 months of memberships in the VIP. Welcome back. The best thing you can do is recoup development costs at release, but I think this game has cost a lot to make. What makes you say that? It's a pretty small team. It's not a very large team. They've been working on it for what, 4 or 5 years? Helldiver spikes every update, just like live service games are supposed to do. Right. Concord will have more team composition and asymmetrical team play than Destiny. This is true, and here's my question. This is where I think a lot of people are, if you want to have a consistent position, to say that it's okay that it looks like Destiny, it's okay if it appeals to Destiny players and pulls Destiny players in. Okay, point granted. Allow me to ask your point a question. Do you think Destiny players will like what you just described? Team composition and asymmetrical team gameplay. Lots of team shotting, basically. A lot of team shotting. Do you think the Destiny player pool will find that appealing? In my experience, no, they will not. I could be wrong, but I covered that game exclusively for half of a decade. And I'm here to tell you, I don't think the Destiny PvP crowd is going to vibe with a team shot meta hero shooter. I just don't think so. They railed against it in Destiny 2. Apparently, I mean, I was told, Creature told me it's still very much like that. It's still just team shot meta. I thought they made a lot of good changes over the years to get rid of team shot meta, but you're such a negative Nancy. I don't see how I'm being a negative Nancy. I'm telling you what I think. I think being critical of people's criticism is not an argument. It's just whining and complaining. It's ironically the thing that you claim that you don't like. Like the movement of toxic positivity, like anytime something is critiqued or criticized or given negative feedback, like you attack the person doing it. Like maybe either make your own argument, become comfortable in the fact that people might not like things that you like, or don't consume negative content if it's so distressing. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand that. It doesn't make any sense to me. Complaining about criticism is literally a fish that doesn't know it's wet. It's like you're literally doing the thing that you don't like that I'm doing. I don't understand. Complaining about my criticism that's drenched in irony. Can we have a conversation without being called negative? Yeah, I mean, I'm being negative, but I was also constructive in the video. I tried to be constructive. I was like, I think the font choice should be different. It's hard to even see. Your radar looks cramped. I can't even tell where the enemies are. Like, you're gonna make misjudgments based on the way that radar looks. It's small, it's zoomed in, the arrows are enormous. The gameplay just looks and feels like Destiny. I don't think that's going to be strong enough to carry the game into the distance. You want to have your own identity, right? You want to have your own unique feel. Like, one of the comments we got on the video this morning, the video wasn't even live yet, by the way, so this is truly a brilliant comment. You haven't even watched the video yet. Let me just read this to you. This is an award-winning comment here. Tell me y'all don't play shooters. Let's just stop right there. Just stop right there for half a second. Tell me y'all don't play shooters. I always wish when someone made a comment like that, like, you could actually see their gamer history snapshot. Because it's like, I played the shooters that inspired everything you're playing today. I played the first shooter ever made with Wolfenstein 3D. I played Doom. I played Quake 2. I played Quake 3. I was there when these games were born. So I played virtually the biggest and the most long-standing shooters. The shooters that actually inspired Halo. The shooters that inspired Overwatch. You know, I played Team Fortress back in the day. I played all these games. So to always run to that, like, well, yeah, tell me you don't play shooters. It's like, well, no, I do. That doesn't have anything to do with Concord. The person continues. Every successful hero shooter is a blend of something popular with Overwatch. Valorant is CSGO and Overwatch. X-Defiant is Call of Duty and Overwatch. Apex Legends is Fortnite and Overwatch. Concord is Destiny and Overwatch. Difference is, these guys made Destiny. Okay. Read my follow-up comment. I don't really feel like it. You literally left a comment without watching the video. Why would I read your follow-up comment? But let me interact with what you're saying. It's just incredibly simplistic. Like, with all due respect, you're basically saying that Apex is just Fortnite Overwatch. That's such an oversimplification of why Apex got to where that it got. Or calling Valorant CSGO Overwatch. Like, at a very, very superficial, surface level, you're not incorrect, but it's an oversimplification of why those games were excellent, okay? And let me explain to you why. Because this seems to be missing from your assessment, all right? The team that made Valorant brought, let's stop saying Overwatch, okay? They brought the hero shooter idea to a CSGO style tactical econ based shooter, okay? A strategy econ based shooter. They're like, well, let's bring the hero shooter to that. And then Apex Legends, they said, let's bring the hero shooter to the Battle Royale, okay? So here's the deal. When they did that, something new was born. When I look at Concord, you're like, Concord is Destiny and Overwatch. Here's the problem. They're bringing the arena hero shooter to the arena hero shooter. There's not a significant blend happening there. You don't have two complementary ingredients coming together, and out of that is something that is new. Valorant took two ideas, smashed them together, and out pops a new concept. Oh, wow. It's very similar to CSGO, but it also is clearly inspired by Overwatch. Hero shooters, Team Fortress, things like that. Okay? Same thing with Apex Legends. Here's the Battle Royale genre. Big, huge open map. We've got the tightness of the Respawn guys in Titanfall. Let's bring the hero shooter to that. And out of that is born something that is unique and new. When I look at Concord, I'm like, it's an arena hero shooter that is basically going to lean on the gunplay of Destiny. Because if we're honest, Overwatch was never really known for like tight aim down sight gunplay like that you would associate with a game like Destiny or Titanfall. Overwatch leaned more heavily on the heroes and the abilities. While there is gunplay in it, it's not quite the same. It's a shooter that the gunplay is a part of it. Instead of like Destiny, it's like the gunplay is central to the experience, right? So you're just creating another hero shooter. Lest we forget, there are other hero shooters coming to the market, which is part of my argument. Marvel Rivals is coming to console. Yes, it's third person. They're still classifying it as a 6v6 PvP hero shooter, right? You've got this other one. What was it? Fragpunk. You're bringing. This is why I argued in my other video. I think Marathon has a better shot because Marathon is taking the hero shooter and smashing it into extraction shooter and saying, let's have something new get born out of that. I don't see like this new thing coming out of Concord. It just looks like another arena shooter where, oh, we've got our own versions of heroes, we've got gunplay and movement similar to Destiny. That doesn't feel like something new is being born out of the exercise. It just seems like you're pushing a negative narrative because you've made up your mind or going with the hive mind. It seems like you're just pushing a positive narrative because you've made up your mind and you're just going with the hive mind. We can do this all day. You're not saying anything of substance. You're simply criticizing what I'm saying instead of engaging with it. I just turned around and did the same thing to you. You're just pushing a positive narrative because you've made up your mind and you're just going with the hive mind. We're not saying anything when we say things like this. Engage in the conversation. That's not engaging with the conversation. You're dismissing the conversation. You're dismissing the other side. Like, you've been here for a while and your engagement with my content is now to the point that you're basically saying, well, you can't think for yourself. You're just mindless. Okay, read my previous comment. Why would I? You're not engaging with what I've said. I've made numerous points, but you don't read them. You are being narrow-minded and fixating on negative things like bad UI, which I would argue and say the UI is easy to read and non-obtrusive. Okay, so let me go back and read what you've said. Let me go back and read. You've added so much to the conversation. Let's see what you said. You said, Helldivers spikes every update. Not relative. Gunplay should be as good as Destiny. Okay, nobody debated that. Concord will have more team composition and asymmetrical team play than Destiny. Do we need to rewind the stream, Mr. B, and show where I engaged with what you said directly and countered what you said? So now you're claiming I'm not interacting with you when literally the most recent comment you made about the game, about team composition and asymmetrical team play, I interacted with that. Did you forget that, or do you have the stream on mute? You said $40 will stop cheaters. I engage with that. Begging for free games is a problem. I engage with that. You said so out of touch, it's ridiculous. I engaged with that. You said Destiny players who wish PvP got more attention, Concord will be for them. That's the only thing I didn't interact with what you said because I was interacting with other people at the time. So, please remember where you are. I just pulled all your chat history. I've engaged with virtually everything you've said. So if you want to come in here and run a false narrative and say you're being negative and narrow and not interacting with the points that I'm making, that's utterly false. I just went through everything that you've said. You've got an interaction on almost every point that you've made, brother. I've interacted with almost everything that you said. On record, in view of the public. Just rewind the stream. Don't tell me I'm being negative and narrow and ignoring your comments when you've gotten more engagement than others in chat. We got main character syndrome, bud? Japers. Comments on the video. Real Sticky says, The Real Sticky says, the biggest thing that stands out to me is the graphical downgrade compared to the gameplay trailer. Why? Why did it downgrade? It's just UI and effects making it look worse. Likely not great capture or console versus PC. It might not be the greatest capture. It might not be the greatest capture because I went to even the one cinematic trailer, like IGN uploaded like a 1080 version of it, and you can go to the official trailer on PlayStation's YouTube channel, and it's 4K. It's like higher resolution. So I'm not ready to say graphical degradation. I'm not ready to say that. Whoever recorded the footage could have had bad capture. It honestly could be console versus PC. Their first gameplay trailer 100% was, likely souped up and on a PC. Like, the lighting looked really, really good in their first gameplay trailer. Cheaters in a game means you have a game worth playing. I mean, I don't know. There have been some smaller games that have gotten brutalized by cheaters, Paul. I don't know if that's a one-to-one. Like, well, your game's worth playing if people are cheating. I don't know about that. I don't know if it was simulated gameplay reckless. I just think they captured their initial gameplay trailer, I believe, is captured on a PC. At least, that's how it looks to me. Right? It just looks to me like, okay, this is souped up and made to look really pretty. We're likely looking at PC gameplay. Which is fine. That's fine. We don't need to have amazing looking fidelity in a PvP game. Like, I think it's good to have a balance there. You want the game to run well, right? You don't want to be like dropping frames because they went with real fancy lightings. Crucify me for actually having to counter your points instead of agreeing with everything. No, Mr. B, you are allowed to disagree with me. You are not allowed to lie. There's a difference between disagreeing with me and lying. You said I wasn't engaging with your points when I had been, brother. You made it sound as if like I was avoiding your points and just being negative. And then when I looked at your chat history, you had received very regular engagement with me. Brother, I live off of disagreement. You're in a car that runs off disagreement, claiming that I don't want it. You're once again, now for the second time, not being honest. Are you that starving for a clip, or are you just in a bad mood? Which is it? This stream literally runs on disagreement. You weren't disagreeing. You were misrepresenting. If you can't see the difference between those two things categorically, you're going to have a real hard time in life, not just in this chat. It's being patched to work as intended. It's not nerf. Oh, you guys are talking about something else? The sci-fi extraction shooter shut down because of cheaters. Yeah. What was that one called, Eugene? What was that one called? I thought that one actually looked pretty good. And they shut down because of cheaters. I don't think getting cheaters is necessarily like, hey, you got a game worth playing. If you're not a big enough studio, you might get shut down by the cheaters. And listen, I granted y'all's point. I said, hey, you know what? Look, the fact that you got to buy it, and because you have to buy it, you also have to get PSN. I actually think that's probably going to be another good barrier. The Steam's top 10 ranked weekly active users. Yeah, Helldivers is in third position, but it lost 90% of its base. Right. Yeah, Cycle Frontier. That was it. Cycle Frontier. I thought it looked super cool. I remember thinking, I wish it was more of like a PvE game. Like, I don't really get down with extraction because, like, I can't take the stress. I'm like, I'm not going to get out. My wife and I played Deep Rock Galactic again last night. I was like, let's give this another shot. The last time we played, I got frustrated because I couldn't figure out how to make ammo. For whatever reason, they didn't show you how to do that in the tutorial, which is very weird. Like, she went through the tutorial again last night, and it just, like, stopped giving her info. I was like, what the heck? So we tried again last night. I looked up some guides on how to make ammo, and I called for the shuttle probably not at a good time. We were, like, super far deep down into the cavern, and we should have, like, made our way back before calling. So we had, like, 4 to 5 minutes to run all the way back, and it was stressful. We almost didn't make it. I think we made it back with, like, 20 seconds. Anyways, I can't handle extraction shooters for that reason. Like, I can't take the anxiety of, like, I might not get out with everything I've worked for, right? Kumi says it's the cult of ponyology. Sony can do no wrong in their eyes. How dare you criticize anything that comes from Sony? I don't know if that's what's driving it, Kumi. Honestly, I feel like the person that's this morning really taking up for Concord is a bigger Destiny fan than a PlayStation fan. the guys that I follow on Twitter that are like proud to be called a pony, they have been very critical of Concord. I don't know if I've run into quote unquote Sony ponies who are like afraid to be critical of something that PlayStation does. Like a lot of the guys that are diehard ponies and they run like PlayStation centric accounts and YouTube channels, they're looking at Concord and they're like, this ain't it, Chief. No, they don't like it. When I saw the trailer, the cinematic trailer, I was like, okay, this game might be kind of hot. Because I thought it was going to be more like PvE, VP, like maybe you got to go in and do some stuff and you might be able to play against other players. And I thought, well, these characters seem pretty cool. Vibe seems cool. Graphics, cinematic, seemed pretty high quality. I didn't mind the plucky comedy, the Mod Squad Guardians of the Galaxy vibe. That didn't bother me. But then they got to the gameplay, and I'm like, what the frick is this? This is generic. I've played this game before. We have new abilities. Cool. I've played your game before. I played Destiny. I played Overwatch. I've played your game before. It just looked uninteresting immediately. It looked like butt, and I'm concerned, says Detective Seeds. Gonna play for myself, but not my jam at all. Donnie says, leave me alone. Water Bears on Mars says, I think hero shooters have a place in gaming. Concord has to find that niche. I don't see fast Twitch hero shooter players playing Concord, though. It seems like a slower pace. Oh, it's definitely slower paced. It is. The time to kill is long in this game, and depending on who you're shooting, it seems like it might take longer. The Psycho Frontier got a 59 on Metacritic. You can blame cheaters all day, but it's not an easy thing to blame for a below average game. My spidey sense is tingling. My spidey sense is tingling. The Psycho Frontier on Metacritic. Interesting. Let's check something else here. It's near the end. It has a 92% in the last 30 days. The reviews went up. It has a 62% on Steam, which I wonder, for the love of God, someone remake this game and sell it. I'll buy it any day of the week. That's a negative review. Someone loved it, some hated it, but everyone can agree at its peak it was one of the most fun games to play. Unfortunately, the cheaters, poor marketing, lack of development direction, and slow updates killed it. There's another negative review on Steam. Like I said, my spidey sense was tingling. You ran to Metacritic. It was getting good reception on Steam from the players. Shut down on September, negative review. I miss this game so much. Me and my mates can only dream of playing this game again. I miss this game. Bring it back. Mixed feelings. Cheating was really bad, but the game is genuinely fun. That's another negative review on Steam. Please bring it back. Relaunch the game. Anytime someone goes to Metacritic, I'm like, okay, let's really research this, because as soon as you said it, I was like, my spidey sense is tingling, Paul, because I remember the reception around that game was moving in a great direction, and then it crashed to the ground because it got overwhelmed with cheaters. I distinctly remember that happening. I don't care what Metacritic says. The user score and the user feedback is always the most important. Psycho was really dope, but it was very simplistic extraction shooter, a nice break from the hyper-realistic games like Tarkov. What a shame it got shut down, especially after they revamped a ton of the systems. Right. They were doing what you're supposed to do, right? You launch your game, you get feedback, you make the changes, and cheaters murdered it. So you got to be careful with like the idea of like, well, cheating means you got a game worth playing. Well, maybe not. Do you want to know what I think about most of the people who cheat in video games? I think they're compulsive addicts. I don't think they're thoughtful people at all. I think they're broken. I do. I think something in their brain broke along the way. And I think now all they do is they play games to cheat. They're just like, I'm just going to cheat. I don't care what the game is. I'm going to cheat. So I don't think they're like thoughtful about it. Like, well, let's only cheat in the games that are worth playing. Yes, they're going to tend to flock to the more popular games because it's going to increase the likelihood that there'll be cheaters in a more popular game because there's more people playing. Like your laws of averages are going to increase the likelihood. But I don't think cheaters are out here being thoughtful. I think they're compulsive, just their brains are just addled with, I don't even know what. I can't imagine spending money to cheat. Like, that to me is just such a break from reality. It's like I'm spending money to win, but I'm not really the one winning. Like, it's just pathetic. It is the word that comes to my mind. Absolutely pathetic. It's like, what? You could spend your money on anything. You're basically going to the store and spending your hard-earned money on trophies to put in your house that no one's going to look at. You know what I'm saying? Like, no one's going to look at it. It peaked at 40K players. Take into account most games drop to a good 90% of their player base side, left with 4K players. In my opinion, it was always doomed. Well, again, that's not the conversation, Paul. Now you're going off and having a different conversation. For a smaller studio, for a newer game, for a less marketed game, probably smaller budget, smaller bandwidth, 40K players is actually pretty dadgum impressive. Like, that's actually pretty impressive. 40K on a free-to-play game is nothing. Right, which, aren't you kind of making my point for me that Concord at $40 in a free-to-play market is going to be facing a huge uphill battle when a game that was growing in its praise from the audience, it was becoming liked, they were doing the right things, and they just died? Why? Well, the cheaters, sure. But if they would have had a monsoon of players in the early stages, potentially, I don't know if they had microtransactions. Did they have any microtransactions in the cycle? If they had microtransactions in there, maybe they would have made enough money to fund the counter movement that they needed to stop the cheating. But the point is it's like, if that can happen to a free-to-play game that was seemingly going in a good direction, a $40 game is going to be facing a similar challenge. How are you going to get people to play? The dev said the cheaters is the problem. Why are we even arguing this? Yeah, like they were going to keep devoting time to the game. That was the plan. Lazaro responded to my short, says Concord seems to be DOA. Making it not free to play is a big L. Gonna hurt it for sure. I think being not free to play, and here's the thing. I am not out here as Mr. Let's do more free games. I like paying for my games. I do. Because it's an expression of confidence in a product that was marketed well. It's an expression of value transmission of, hey, you said this, I get this, I liked it, right? Now I'm going to give you more money down the line. I think it's a very, very healthy thing to pay for games as opposed to just everything being free. It makes everything very a throwaway. So, in light of that, I'm not sitting here saying you have to make your game free. I'm saying from a purely business perspective here, just thinking through strategy, if you're going into the PvP only market and you're not free, you're setting yourself up for a challenge. That doesn't mean you fail. I'm just saying, admit reality here, folks. That's a challenge. Okay, let's just think about it this way. A lot of the times when these conversations come up, people will speak in a disparaging way about the people who play free-to-play games, right? Mindless, want something for free, don't want to buy anything, right? They'll speak in disparaging ways. And one of the reasons that they do this is because they feel these people are, whiny, entitled, or whatever. And they'll sort of act as if the people doing that are hive mind, sheep, dumb, whatever. If there's this monsoon of people who primarily only want to play PvP games that are free, you're going to miss out on a good chunk of those people. I'm not going to say all, but you're going to miss out on a good chunk of those people. Now, that could be good for your game. Maybe, like Helldivers 2, you don't want a bunch of players in the early days. You're not built for it. You're thinking more meager. You're thinking more moderate player numbers. So they may be totally fine with that. They might not want the free-to-play players, but again, it's a numbers game. You're playing the odds. Anybody with a background in sales knows you're more likely to convert the more people that you interact with, right? That's how you always play the sales numbers is, and this is not really a thing anymore, but like a door-to-door salesman knew, I'm going to have to get this many no's before I get a yes. So what would they do? They would just try to maximize the number of people that they could talk to. And games like this are similar in that you don't want people to not play your game purely because of the price. Paid games. You're putting top games that are paid. Is Rocket League still paid? I thought they switched. Did they not switch to free to play? Why did I think they switched to free to play? I might be thinking of a different game. Why is Google taking me to different pages now? I thought Rocket League switched to free to play. Anyways, top 10 games ranked weekly on Steam. Right. My only pushback on all of this is I wouldn't include Destiny 2. Destiny 2 is a free to play game you can buy expansions for. Minecraft, not comparable because it's monolithic, and Elden Ring, same deal. Its popularity is not driven by PvP funnels. It's driven by the quality of the content. Roblox, I mean, again, that's a viral game. Helldivers is not PvP. Again, you're including Destiny 2. Destiny 2 doesn't count. Baldur's Gate 3 is not a PvP game. The biggest and the most popular PvP games are free to play. That's the point. Oh, Rocket League is free? Okay, so you don't get to include Rocket League. The one game on there that you could argue is like a PvP game is actually free to play. That expansion is why it's up there. Right. And what do you think that demonstrates, Eugene? What are they playing? They bought an expansion, and what are they playing? We saw all the Charlemagne numbers, so you don't have to tell me. They weren't playing PvP. Nobody was playing PvP in the opening week of the Destiny DLC. The PvP numbers just absolutely fell down into the bottom of the ocean. No one was playing. We're talking about PvP games. Like, yeah, okay, Elden Ring and Destiny, and I mean, okay, so you could argue there's PvP elements in Minecraft and PvP games in Roblox, but again, those are like viral global phenomenons as games. Like, those aren't good examples. When we go to the games that Concord will be compared to, it's not going to be compared to Helldivers. Helldivers had like a moment. It went viral, okay? It's PvE. The games that Concord will be compared to, they are all free to play. They're all free to play. Overwatch, free to play. Apex Legends, Valorant, free to play. Like, this has become the expectation. I'm not arguing. Keep in mind, this will get twisted and misrepresented as virtually everything I say typically does. I'm not saying it needs to be. I'm saying if you don't do free to play, you're facing a significant barrier. You're facing a giant monsoon of players that say, oh, you have a new PvP game? Cool. Oh, it's $40? Yeah, miss me with that. I'll go back and play, fill in the blank. I'll go back and just continue playing Apex or Valorant or Overwatch. I won't come and try your game for $40. Yeah, Rivals is going to be free. Yes. So I'm not arguing it has to be free. I'm just saying that's a challenge. I think that's a difficulty to say, hey, we're going to try and fill our funnel with players, but we're not going to be free to play. And again, that could be quite literally their goal. Their goal could be, no, we don't want a massively full funnel. We don't want every Tom, Dick, and Harry downloading this game and trying to play it. We want to have a more controlled sample base of users. We're okay with more meager results. We're okay with more moderate player numbers. We don't need to be the next Fortnite or Apex. So this quite literally could be part of their strategy. It might not even be a concern. I'm just saying it's a challenge. I'm not saying it's making the game destined for failure. I'm just like, you're going to miss out on a lot of players. A lot of these players just assume if you do a PvP only game, it should be free. I don't think I agree with them, but it's almost becoming a necessity. I would much rather pay for a PvP game knowing that you're putting some kind of a barrier in between me and the public. Like, it's not just any old person that just wants to download the game. And since it's a PlayStation game, you're requiring... I'm sorry, since it's on PlayStation, you are requiring the PSN as well. People said the same about Helldivers 2. As long as the game is actually good and fun, word of mouth will bring in more people, especially at a lower $40 price tag. I think Helldivers had the moment that it had, though, because it was something that, like, you couldn't really go and play elsewhere. If you can play Marvel Rivals, if you can play Overwatch, if you can play Valorant, those are a lot of things that are going to give you similar experiences. Not the same, but similar experiences. You want really tight gunplay? Valorant, real tight gunplay. Now the TTK is really fast, right? You just like to have heroes and abilities. Marvel Rivals and Overwatch are sitting right there. You know, I'm not saying they're better games. I'm not saying that I would play one over the other, although I do think Rivals had gameplay that I would find more enjoyable for an evening. I don't really play games like that at length. I'm not a PvP guy, but I'm not saying one's better than the other. I'm saying you're trying to appeal to an audience that's going to have a lot of options that aren't you, and all those options are free. And I think that's a challenge. Even if they want meager player numbers, there's still a minimum threshold for health, is there not? There's still a minimum threshold of players for a game like this to survive. Guys, take a quick second and smash the like button on Nobody with 27 months and a member plus. This last DLC boss is crushing my dreams. You're in good company. A lot of people are. I'm stuck at Mesmer. I'm playing in like little 30-minute spurts, which is probably not a good idea. I was playing on the PlayStation Portal the one day just to kind of see how it felt, because I'm just trying to learn the animation sets, and I'm having a hard time. I can't figure it out. I keep misfiring. I'm like, I've got it figured out. No, I don't. Helldivers had the most unique experience of friendly fire and friends. Some of the best experiences multiplayer have been accidentally blowing up my friends. Threshold goes down when all the players paid to enter. Well, no, I don't agree with that. The minimum threshold is not movable according to the fact that it's costing money. When I say minimum threshold, I mean if you fall below this line, you don't have enough people playing. You don't have a viable product. I don't care if you charge money or you don't. Every game has that floor of not enough people are playing. Not enough people are logging in and spending money. Matchmaking is terrible. Like, all of those things start to compound, because as soon as there aren't enough players to have decent matchmaking times, matchmaking time goes up, quality of the connection goes down, and other players are going to start quitting. It's like a domino effect. It's like ding, 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 ding. It's like, no, I'm not playing this. My team's not playing anymore. My friends aren't playing anymore. The connections take forever. The connection quality is bad, because when I finally do get into a game, I'm region mismatched. Like, I'm telling you, there's a minimum threshold for a game like this, and you will absolutely race there. How's Foam Stars doing? I have no idea. It looked like it flopped. They continue to do events, and they're continuing to do events. Now, all these events and all these promotional things, they may have been pre-planned, because as far as I could tell, that game fell flat on its face. They threw it on PlayStation Plus the same week that Helldivers 2 came out. Helldivers 2 takes off like a dadgum bottle rocket and just overshadows, every other game at the time. And as far as we could tell, that game crashed and burned. I always said that it had potential. I said, don't be surprised if this thing, takes off in the Asian market. No, when we first saw, trailers for Splatoon, nobody said, oh my gosh, dude, Splatoon's going to be the biggest game ever. And Splatoon is insanely popular. And I said, Foam Stars could surprise us. Don't write this one off. Don't just shove this thing out because it's cutesy and quirky. And, a lot of people, again, misrepresented what I said and acted like I was out here, like, simping for Foam Stars. I was like, no, just don't dismiss a game purely on its appearance alone, right? Like, you can look at a game and say, hey, that game's not for me, but it might end up being insanely popular. There are games that break out that at the time you would look at it and be like, how? Whether it's Minecraft or Roblox or Fortnite Battle Royale, people dismissed that and thought it was stupid. I played for 20 minutes and I was like, this is going to be a hit. This is amazing. And I got called an idiot. They're like, this guy's an idiot. This game doesn't stand a chance. It won't be bigger than PUBG. Oh, yeah? Well, it's... To me, I don't like writing off a game purely based off of its aesthetic. Like, for an example, with Concord, people were quickly attacking the cinematic trailer. And I was like, I think the cinematic trailer is fine. I didn't become critical until I saw the gameplay. And that's when I was like, I don't get this. You just kind of walked out and said, we wanted to make a hero shooter, here's ours. There doesn't seem to be much compelling beyond that. Concord feels like Overwatch, though many of these games are just trying to copy how Overwatch was. We're seeing the problem with it. That the end of the sentence fell apart on me. We saw that with Fortnite, though, did we not? We saw games that signaled a bunch of similarities to Fortnite, and where are those games? Where? Realm Royale practically looked like Fortnite. Dead. A ton of other battle royales that attempted to say, here's our version of a battle royale, and they died. They didn't make it. Because eventually people realize you're not offering anything new. I could essentially get this experience somewhere else. And when I look at Concord, that's what I see. I see, okay, it's a hero shooter. And what else you got? You got anything else? You got any uniqueness? Oh, come on. I'm trying to pop. Trying to pop my hip. It's like if I twist just right in the chair, it always feels like fabulous. Like stretching in the morning. You said it yourself, issues like Concord are going to have. So why kill a game that is highly marketable and keep this instead? It's not a smart business move. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Why kill a game that is highly marketable? What are you talking about? What are you referring to? The whole free-to-play catalog is full of dead battle royales. Sure. And if you remember Battlefield? Battlefield had the stones to walk out in the market and say, we're PvP only, no campaign, and we're charging money. Factions? Come on. You guys have got to let that go. Excuse me. I had to sneeze. You guys have got to let that go, man. You factions guys, you got to let that go. Everybody that wants to talk about The Last of Us factions, you only want to talk in your version of reality. You don't want to talk about it as it actually happened. You have this version of reality in your mind that, like, they had a great game, it was going to be awesome, and PlayStation walked in the room with Bungie and just killed it. That's not what happened. Naughty Dog got a giant slice of humble pie. And it was like, you don't know what the frick you're doing. You don't know what the frick you're doing. You thought your game could be unlike another Fortnite. You saw what Fortnite did in 2017 and 2018, and you thought the popularity of factions in The Last of Us 1 would translate into a game mode being its own thing. It could be bigger than just a game mode. And Bungie walked in the room and said, you have no idea what you're signing up for. You have no idea what you're signing up for. And Naughty Dog comes out and says, in order for us to do this, we would essentially have to become a live service studio, and we don't want to do that. And I absolutely, as loudly as I can scream it, I fully support that decision. I would never, ever want a studio to change and become a live service studio when they are quite literally known as one of the best single-player game developers in existence. What are we even talking about? You guys have got to let that one go. In Naughty Dog, I trust. Well, then trust them in what they said. Trust them in what they said. What they said, take it to the bank. They saw reality, and they're like, we are not doing this. Look at what Bungie has had to do to get Destiny to live for a decade. They had parallel development. They had High Moon Studios. They had Vicarious Visions. They had times where they thought the game was going to die. They had droughts. They had seasons where you weren't even sure if they knew what they were doing. And they said, you don't have a clue. You think you're going to launch factions and what? Be able to support it with like a teeny little team? No. You're going to need a cadence of content that you're not even prepared to make. And Naughty Dog said, pack it up. We don't want to do that. We can't do that. They canceled Twisted Metal. Here, okay. So, thank you for the $5 super chat. Otagon Ocelot. Paid multiplayer games do not have the last forever, though. Look at TLU Factions on PS3. It lasted. PlayStation players kept that game alive. I don't think that's a parallel to this, though. That was attached to a beloved franchise, and it kind of had like this cult following that grew over time, okay? And you're like, oh, they canceled this Twisted Metal game also. So, something that I've been discussing in the book study that I'm working on with a group of dudes that I hang out with on Friday mornings is high vantage point truth claims, right? In order for you to be upset about The Last of Us factions or Twisted Metal, if you want to be upset about that from a judgmental perspective, you're allowed to be upset, to be like, that stinks. I was really looking forward to that. That's totally fine. It's when you turn critical and act like they made a mistake that I'm like, how could you possibly know that? That would require a high vantage point. You would need to be able to see the game, the budget, the likelihood of success, the market research. You would need to be able to see all of that to make your claim that they've made some kind of a mistake. You don't have that high vantage. You can't see it. You're claiming to see something in its totality in order to judge it, and you can't. So when they tell me we canceled the game, we didn't think it was worth shipping, I'm like, well, I trust you. Because there's a whole lot of games that come to market, and they're clearly not ready, and they fail, and they flop, and they crash, and they burn. And I would much rather you say, we don't think this game has legs, we're canceling it, then just shove it out anyway. You waste so much money, so much marketing. It's so expensive to ship a game. It's like, it's so much better to say, nope, this game's cooked, dude. We can't do it. It's bad. It's not going to make it. Wheezy is saying it more succinctly. He's saying, I would rather a game be canceled than have it fail horrifically. You don't have the vantage point to claim that these games should not have been canceled. You paid $9.99 for TLU 2 plus factions. I don't know what you're talking about. We paid $9.99 for TLU 2 plus factions. I'm not sure what is he referring to, Eugene? Everybody wants a piece of the pie. The higher ups just need to let it go. Kill the Justice League, Foam Stars, tons of games as a service are flopping. Well, let me throw out another possible theory as to what's going on here. Anybody who looks at the live service landscape will acknowledge what you just said. That live service games just sort of fall by the wayside left and right. Dead. Just flop. Right? Kumi says, I get it. I just want good games. Concord ain't for me. Yeah, that's fine. Like I said, you're allowed to be emotionally upset, disappointed, whatever word you want to use, that a game got canceled. When you tip over into this category and you get critical and you're like, they shouldn't have done that, dumb idea, Bungie shouldn't have done this, or PlayStation shouldn't have done this. It's like, how could you possibly know that? Right? Anyways, back to what I was saying. So I have a theory about Helldivers 2, Concord, and I'm going to include Marathon here. I'm actually going to include any PlayStation Live service game in this theory. Okay. I think they know that you're right. It's not hard to analyze the landscape of gaming and say live service games are volatile. When they explode, they explode. When they crash, the same speed with which they explode, they almost have the same, like, on the opposite end of the spectrum, they'll crash just as quickly. So PlayStation says, if we're going to have successful live service games, what we should do is strip things down to the basics. Smaller teams, smaller games, smaller scope, and just throw it all at the wall. If it sticks, we will celebrate and we will pop champagne, which Helldivers 2 is an example of. It stuck. It stuck the landing. Regardless of how many headlines and YouTubers want to go with, like, 90% of the player base is no longer playing, which no one can claim because nobody has MAUs, but, you know, misleading thumbnails, headlines, and tweets are the way that you make money these days. So they're probably thrilled with that. And if Foam Stars just bounced off the wall and fell to the ground, what they're probably thinking is, number one, it's not their studio. Number two, it's a smaller game, smaller effort. Square Enix is probably thinking the same thing. That's a small studio. That was a small effort. We thought, hey, maybe this thing takes off. Right? You're placing a bunch of small bets, so the losses are less painful, but the potential payout is huge. Right? You're placing all these small bets on the table, and, like, Helldivers wins, and it wins big. And then, let's say Concord fails and it flops. They're probably thinking, that's fine. It's a smaller bet. You know? We still gained knowledge. We still gained information, from public response to public feedback to player behavior to player spending habits. They learn all that just from the small bet. The small bet still yields them some level of return. So that's the theory that I have. I'm looking at these games and I'm looking at the way that they're being positioned, and I'm thinking to myself, I don't think they're going for super popular bangers. I think they're going for meager launches that had a smaller budget that at the very least they can break even on. That's why they're charging money for Concord. $40. Marathon will probably have a very similar pricing structure. Or the dev team will be let go. I mean, there's that possibility, but I would imagine that would only be if the dev team was either completely mismanaged or the game was a complete and utter disaster. Because what they're probably trying to do is they want their Center for Live Service Excellence to have a lot of cascading input. And right now it's primarily headed by Bungie. And if you can have this cascade of input, you've got Helldivers 2, and they can talk about, okay, this is what player behavior looked like at its peak. This is how we handled some of the surge. This is how we handled some of the dips. This is what our cadence was going to be. This is how we've adjusted our cadence, right? All of those things, to me, are a benefit to their Center for Live Service Excellence that I don't think PlayStation's looking at it so unidimensionally. Oh, if your game fails, we're closing you down. Especially if it's a smaller studio. If, like, the cost to keep the studio open and the cost to bring the product to market, if it's in a more meager lane, those small bets, it's less likely you're going to be in the drastic scenario of, like, yeah, close the studio down, right? That certainly is a possibility, that if Concord crashes and burns, they just cut the studio loose. And they're like, we don't know what the frick you guys were doing, but that thing bombed hard. I don't know if you would do that, though. You got a team of talented people that made a game. It just didn't get off the ground, or didn't quite hit, or didn't quite land where you wanted it to land. I don't think that's necessarily a reason to, like, just shut a studio down. To be fair, there's no way to predict what studios are going to get closed down, but there's definitely one side that's going to be more prone to do it because their operating cost is significantly higher. And they just recently did it to a studio that launched an award-winning game. Like, I don't see PlayStation in a similar scenario. Like, oh yeah, we have all these massive studios, and if their game bombs, we got to cut them loose. I feel like they place more meager bets and operate with much smaller operating budgets and studios that puts them into a position where they don't have to make that drastic decision. Maybe some layoffs, sure, but not like, hey, Concord didn't really hit, so we got to shut you down. Firewalk have no other games or IPs. Okay, that has nothing to do with the discussion. As I just said, they're a smaller studio, smaller budget. This could be seen as a meager bet where PlayStation wants to get 1 to 2 years of data and info out of it, and then they're happy. They're happy with the results. I don't think they're viewing Concord as like the next Fortnite or Apex. They're not treating it that way. They're not even marketing it that way. Isn't Helldivers 2 an example of even when a new live service does well, it's still extremely hard to build one that lasts? It lost 95% of its peak average players in less than 5 months. Do we have games where that hasn't happened, I guess would be my question. Like, is there a threshold where the player peaks drop so low the game never recovers? Because Helldivers 2 still sees rhythmic surge of interest anytime they push out something new. Palworld, here's a perfect example, Mediocre Milton. Everybody was dogging on Palworld because its numbers fell, and then they pushed out an update and its numbers just boom, way back up again. It's I think people think too simplistically about this. Everybody did the same thing with Palworld, and I defended Palworld, and I was like, oh, okay. I was like, guys, yes, of course, it's an early access game. Of course the numbers went down. Sure. But they drop down into player peaks of like the 20,000s, the 15,000s, and their recent update, they go up to 99,000 peak. Then they go up to 106,000 peak. Then they go up to 134,000 peak. Then they go up to 138,000 peak. Like, ding, 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 ding. People are like, hey, it's good, it's great, come back. You have to look at it from the development studio's perspective. They are not trying to stay in the orbit of the sun. They just want to stay close to it. Like, just close enough that the plants can grow and that the ecosystem stays healthy. That, like, they go, boom, Palworld, 2.1 million peak on Steam. They're literally touching the surface of the sun. They don't want to stay there. There's no way they even expect to. There's no way. If they can come back down, do updates, and go, boop, hey, not bad, come back down. Do updates, boop, hey, not bad. A lot of people are, jumping back in. Palworld is early access, not live service. They are banking on people playing continuously. They aren't banking on people playing continuously. I don't agree with you. I think Palworld is intended to be an ongoing game. Early access is not the antithesis of early access is not the antithesis of live service. It can be an early access live service game. If you think Palworld's going to be a one and done game, no. They're constantly going to push out new updates, new pals, new areas. That 100% is going to be a live service game. Zero doubt in my mind. It's classified as an open world multiplayer survival crafting game. Like, that's a live service game, brother. That's going to be an ongoing game. That's not going to be a game where they're like, all right, we're done. There's no microtransactions in Palworld. I mean, I would say there's no microtransactions in Palworld yet. I would imagine they would get to a place where they're charging for something other than the entrance fee to get in, which is around $30. Cosmetics, I don't know, ways to decorate your homestead. Palworld devs said they expect players to stop playing between updates. Do you know who else has said that? Live service games have said that. That's a live service game expectation. They expect people to stop playing in between updates. Destiny has literally crafted their game in a way where they expect that in between seasons, for crying out loud. Live service games are not built to be like, all right, here's our player pool, and it can never drop. If it drops, it's chaos. No, they expect to be like up, and down and up and down and down. It's down. Oh, it's back up. Like, they 100% anticipate similar player behavior that we're seeing with Palworld. Like, we've developed unspoken expectations, and we judge live service games against those expectations, where we're like, well, if it goes down, then, you know, it's going to be bad. They've lost their player pool. They've lost their player base. Do you know what I'm saying? Kirk, are you available right now? I have a favor to ask. Let me see if he's around. Hang on. Oh, I don't think he is. I should have said something to him earlier this morning. My wife thought she submitted a Kroger delivery for tomorrow, and she set it for today. So there are now groceries on my porch. And I have to, like, go and get them. And I was hoping it would be closer to, like, noon, and I would, like, throw Kirk on the call and just, like, let you guys talk with him. But it's earlier than we expected. 400K every day, all day for eternity. Right. Do you consider Valheim to be a live service game? I don't know. I'd have to look at their content structure. I'd have to look at their update plans, their roadmaps, how they handle the game. A game that plans on updating itself in perpetuity to both keep and garner new and returning players, that's a live service game. It is. It doesn't need a battle pass. It doesn't need seasons. If they have a roadmap and they're like, yep, in 3 months we're doing an update, in 3 months we're doing an update, in 6 months we're going to do a really big update. If they're creating update cadence to keep you either playing, returning, or jumping in brand new, that's a live service game. I mean, for crying out loud, No Man's Sky evolved into a live service game with their updates and their expeditions. Guys, do me a favor. While I step away, smash the heck out of the like button. Maybe give some members so when I come back I can announce them. I do not typically do this with the talk show. We've had a little bit of a logistical mistake here at the homestead. I got to go grab the groceries. I'll be right back. I'm back. I thought that was going to take a lot longer. She got stuff for while she's gone. And I was like, there's going to be so much stuff to put in the fridge and the freezer. I thought I was going to like go outside to the outside fridge. We're good. And 5 from Brian. Agent of Chaos. Why is it not? Oh, there we go. Rolling it forward, brother. Thank you guys so much for your patience. Logistical mistake. Well, she's going out of town. And so she was making sure, like, the house is stocked. Because I told her, I said, I can manage everything. I said, I'm going to keep working, keep doing my thing. She's got people to watch the kids and stuff. I said, but food. I said, I just need food in the house so that I can just, make dinner. There's a 5 that I owe ya. Incorrect once again. Aim assist is a slowdown. In fact, it hinders your aim because it messes with your muscle memory sense. You guys are debating aim assist. Yo, Jim D with 14 months and a VIP. Yo, it's good, Behemoth. She got a lot of cheese, and the fridge was, like, cleaned out. I'm just, like, throwing cheese into the fridge. All right. Just need food and beer. That's pretty much it. Just food and beer. Aim assist as a hindrance. That's a new one. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever heard anybody say that aim assist is a hindrance. I think there are times it can mess with you. Like if you're aimed down sight at somebody and somebody runs across or something crosses your line of sight, it can pull. But that's usual. That's pretty unusual. Typically, it's extremely helpful in adding a magnetism or a stickiness to your aim to the space where you're trying to shoot. I don't know if I've ever heard that it's a hindrance. It creates an almost... I remember when they turned it way up in Fortnite, and there were controller players that would kill me faster than a pro player could. I remember, like, once I peeked out of a box, and literally it was like... and I was like, what the heck? I thought I got aimbotted. I was like, that was an aimbot. And we spectated the person, and you could tell by their movement they were on controller. And I was like, I played, like, in high-level environments, and even in a tournament once... with another streamer friend of mine. And I was like, I don't think I've ever died that fast. I don't think I've ever died that fast. They like really overtuned the aim assist. The aim assist in Fortnite. I don't know if it still is that way. But it was that way for a while. That's why all the Apex and COD bros play on controller. Yeah, they play on controller because aim assist is a hindrance, bro. Oh, man. Got some more comments on the upload from today, guys. Thank you so much. Sony would have to pay me to play this dumpster fire. Oof, that's harsh. Drake Parker says, I'm just tired of hero shooters and kind of burned out by PvP in general. This guy says, game looks pretty fun. You have to try it out yourself. I plan to. I am. This guy says, I'm annoyed he's making all these assumptions on the gameplay without playing it, while seemingly ignoring journalists who actually played it and really liked it. Video literally acknowledges that it looks fun, and people are reporting that it is fun. LOL. Like, I literally acknowledge in the video that the game looks fun and that people are reporting having fun. You know? All in. I thought they could pull it off. The gameplay was fun, but no depth. The people are wanting to bring up Kill the Justice League. I wasn't all in on Kill the Justice League. I just thought it would be good. Everybody was hating it. And I was like, I actually think this could be good. I actually thought the gameplay was fun. They just had no depth and no longevity built. It was like just the same thing over and over and over again. It was like, it should have evolved past that. The first 20 minutes should not have been defining what the next 20 hours would be. Like, that's all it was. There was no scope. I thought the mechanics were good. I thought the movement was fun. I thought the verticality and all that. I thought it was a really good time. It just, there was nothing beyond that. It was like, okay, you built like a fun stomping ground. You didn't build a game. They didn't build an actual long tail live service game. People would rather go along with manipulated clips instead of just using controller themselves and seeing how it actually works. I'm not sure what you're arguing, Leonidas. I'm responding to people talking on the subject. I'm not creating the convo. So just there's nothing like Concord. Well, I mean, this person's essentially what this person's trying to do is they want to discredit me. So rather than engage with what I said in the video, they're going to go to kill the Justice League. And it's like, well, if your observations about games always have to be right in order for you to make observations about games, then no one can make videos. No one can make commentary. Because nobody has a perfect track record. I looked at Kill the Justice League and I thought, I think they're going to pull this off. I think people are writing this game off too early. Right? I think it has a shot. And then I got through the campaign and I said, no, it's not. There's nothing compelling here. They didn't create a compelling endgame cycle. They did not hand me off into the endgame well at all. They just dialed in the same content loop. Well, it wasn't like I dug my heels in and said, no, this game's great, everybody's wrong. I simply said, I think it will be good. I think this game has a shot. And then now that I was incorrect about that, it's like, well then, yeah, you can't be correct about Concord. And it's like, I'm not the only one saying it looks generic and inauthentic. TheGamer.com published an article and they said it's not going to last because it has nothing authentic about it. Let me see if I can find it. Concord will fade because it's too generic, they said. I'm not the only person out here commentating on games that thinks that about Concord. I'm not making an outlandish statement. I'm like, I think the gameplay looks worse. I think it looks super generic and it's facing a saturated market. Therefore, I don't think it's going to make it. Kill the Justice League never looked good. I actually enjoyed my playthrough with King Shark. I thought it was fun. I just didn't think they did anything beyond the core content loop. They created a fun content loop and then didn't think they had to do anything else. If they would have fights that had lots of mechanics, it would be a really fun game. Honestly, it would have been better suited to be a new... Like, take the cast from Concord, shove it into Kill the Justice League, and just make it a third-person looter shooter, and I think people would have had a blast. Does that make sense? Like, if it would have been like a generic new game from some other studio... and it would have just been a looter shooter, they could have focused on that, but they had to focus all their energy on cinematics and storytelling and all these elements that Rocksteady's known for, and it's this really weird juxtaposition of, like, very generic, repetitive, you know, looter shooter content, and then, like, all these elaborate cutscenes and character things, and it's just like, they tried to do something that doesn't blend well. It just didn't work. It was like, okay, your content loop is fun. You didn't go beyond that, like, at all. Why are Apex Legends pros switching to controller? North America's top 5 all use controllers, and 4 out of the top 10 in the playoffs used it too. This trend continued in Split 2. 3 of the 5 major reasons had a controller player ranked number on the based on stats. More than half of the players in North America also use controllers, and 2/3 of the top 20 leaderboard use them too. Marvel Avengers felt like a superhero game with all the different... Right, Wheezy. That's why I think Kill the Justice League, if it would have been a separate studio and just a cast of random people, it would have been sort of seen as, hey, this is a fun little romp looter shooter, third-person looter shooter. But because it was from Rocksteady and it was like a superhero, you know, environment, everybody wanted something else, which makes sense. I get why people wanted something else. But... they had good core pieces. They just had too many core pieces that were good and not connected. Like, your cutscenes and your dialogue and your voice acting can be good, but who gives a frick if the story is not all that compelling? And also, it's like, well, we can do whatever we want now because now we can use multiverse as an excuse. And it's like, well, okay. I guess that could be cool. And their first outing is a Joker that nobody really likes. And the next one's going to be Mr. Freeze, but not Mr. Freeze. And I think it's going to be pretty much the end of anybody giving that game a chance. I really had a fun time with the game running around as King Shark. It was fun. I'd never played a game like that. Like the jumping, the dashing, the slamming the ground, the shooting of the guns, it all flowed together really well. There was just nothing beyond that. It reminded me of Anthem. I'll be honest with you. It reminded me of Anthem. Fun little content loop. Cool, cool navigation of the world. And that's it. That's as far as they got. And I was like, well, okay. Yeah, giving superhero villains and, giving them all guns for sure. I think it hurt it. If it wouldn't have been them and it would have been... Like, again, if you look at the cast of people in Concord, picture them in a game like Kill the Justice League. And if you wouldn't have wasted all this time on the cinematics and you just created like a really, really good looter-shooter loop, especially the endgame loop, I think you would have need like aspirational content, mechanics, layered engagements that require a lot of synergy. Oh, it would have been so much fun. It would have been a blast. Like, surprisingly enough, they nailed some things that other games just struggle at, which is just making a game that's super open and fun just to navigate around and slam and shoot and throw. Like, it had a lot of things that I was surprised at how well they did with, given their background. But it didn't go beyond that. It's like that took all their creative muscle. Like, they flexed all their creative muscle on the character movement traversal and and gunplay, and then it was like they were out of gas. It's like I get to the end of the day sometimes, and it's like I don't have any brain power left. Like, after I write my monologue and record my video, I'm like, I'm done. I'm tapped out. It's like they tapped out. They're like, yeah, we got nothing in the tank left, and it showed. It was like, yeah, I got in the back half of your game, and there was nothing there. It was all the same encounters. It was all the same boss fights. It was like, okay. Again, it reminded me of Anthem. It was like, you guys had a cool core concept here, and you never went anywhere beyond it. And I think that's ultimately why games like that fail. They fall prey to this idea of... They look at a game like Destiny and they just look on the outer surface and they're like, well, if we do seasons and we do new content and new gear, that's all we need to do. And it's like, no. You're looking at the window dressing. You're not looking at the core elements of what makes games like that go the distance. The content around the DC universe is endless as well if they would have done a better job using it in the right way, but they screwed up everything. Yeah, the DC IP is a mess. That's also true. For the record, Marvel Avengers had the same problem. Right, it's like they build the core and they're like, that's all we have to do. Now you just add a character, do a season, and it's like, no, it has to be compelling. You have to have something that elevates everything up. I can't believe people look at Destiny and think that, like, that's all you got to do is seasons and a dadgum battle pass. It's like the level of aspirational funnel in Destiny is insane if you really think about it. Now, Grandmaster Nightfalls were probably some of the worst aspirational content they've ever made because they didn't make anything. They added modifiers to existing content, which when they make something from the ground up to be aspirational, it's usually pristine. All of the dungeons, all of the raids, right? Those are usually very excellent. And so they give you all these aspirational funnels to go into. Trials of Osiris. I mean, you can debate all day about, how they've handled Trials and the good and the bad. But they're giving you this place to go. Hey, you got all this awesome stuff. Now go and do something with it. The pinnacle moment in Destiny's history is you killed Oryx, but not really. You got to the end, and the music is phenomenal. And it's this amazing scene. You're like, what is going to happen? And he takes himself into the Ascendant Realm, giving him an element of immortality that is both haunting and creative. And now you're like, well, the story's not really over. Now I've got to go chase him into the Ascendant Realm and kill him there too. So I think that was probably one of the best examples of how you do live service. It's like the culmination isn't really the culmination. It's just the beginning. It's like when you rolled credits in Diablo 2 and they were like, well, now the real game can begin. And Borderlands did the same thing. It's a similar idea. Those games are more of what I refer to as like a linear loop, where you loop back through the game and you're experiencing it afresh. And like a game like Destiny is more of a staircase, and then games like Anthem and Division and others that use world tier difficulty is more of a spiral staircase, where you're doing linear loop, but it's elevating up as you get stronger. So there's a lot of ways to approach this, and I look at Destiny, I'm like, how are people missing this? If you don't create aspirational content, and then the aspirational content can also be tied to like aspirational loot, builds, and strength. If you're not creating those structures, all you're doing is creating a circle. You're like, well, there's the circle. Let's just throw more stuff into the circle. Here's a new character. Here's a new place to go fight. And it's just like, it's all the same stuff. You absolutely have to elevate at some level, or the players are just going to spin right off the merry-go-round. They're going to go boom, and they're going to go flying off, and they're going to say, I don't play that game anymore. There's nothing to it. There's nothing to do. Whether it's Anthem or Kill the Justice League or any other live service games that attempt to do that, that's going to be the problem. And when I look at Concord, I say the same thing. I'm like, it's literally just a hero shooter. Why is somebody coming back to this in 5 months? Like, why? I feel like a game like Destiny or something like Borderlands, there are many levels to these types of games. Concord's missing these levels. It's a lot of window dressing without the depth. That's kind of what I was getting at, Vaughn. It's like, okay, hero shooter, abilities, play it. I'm sure you'll add characters. I'm sure you'll have seasons. You'll have cosmetics. Cool. As you said, as I described it a moment ago, that's all window dressing. It's why Path of Exile works so well. I've done maps for a decade. Yeah, Division's adding seasonal characters. And the reason they're adding seasonal characters to the Division 2 is because the Division has to go on to an end-of-life trajectory, right? They have to be able to support that game with a live team and start moving everybody to the next game. So they'll keep Division going with less effort when they go to the seasonal model. The example you just previously gave, says Gritter, shows why the lore and the mythology of the game is what allows its aspirational content to be great. Other companies copy pasta without deep lore. I would say deep lore is a wonderful depth-enhancing element, but I wouldn't say it's required. I think you can have really, really good ongoing structure and really good aspirational content without the deep lore. I think the lore helps for sure, because it makes you're interested. Most PvP games are window dressing, though. Sure, they are. And where are the most successful PvP games right now? Where are they? What are they doing? What do they have that's keeping people coming back? What do they have? They're either a big, giant, free-to-play battle royale they're almost monolithic and you almost can't even compete with them. They're colossal. Or they're more of a particular niche. Like Valorant is hero shooter, tactical, econ-based shooter. Like it's hero, econ-based, tactical shooter. It's like it's all those things. Like, okay, cool. That's a very unique experience. And then like, even within the Battle Royale realm, you have different themes. You have the Fortnite, you have the no-build Fortnite, then you have Apex, then you have PUBG, then you have Warzone. And to me, the least popular and the biggest challenge right now is Arena. The minute you shrink things down to Arena, I think you lose a lot of people. I think you do. Because it's a meat grinder. It's a meat grinder, and if it feels too familiar to either Destiny or Overwatch, I think people are just going to say, why would I commit to this? Niche. Both pronunciations are acceptable. Why would I commit to this? I can't see like it happened with Splitgate. Splitgate, I'm sorry. With Splitgate, it was like everybody clamored to it. It was this new, fresh thing. I mean, think about it. That was actually an innovative game. They put portals in a dadgum shooter. And then everybody kind of it just falls by the wayside. Yeah, CSGO and then Rainbow Six Siege. There's like these established arena games, but there's something going on there that is either long-standing, like with CSGO, or like Rainbow Six, there's a tactical element to it. There's a thoughtful element to it. I'm looking at Concord saying, I don't get it. I don't get what's new. It doesn't seem new. The finals, yeah, and it remains to be seen if the finals has legs, if X Defiant has legs. You see what I'm saying? I have yet to question whether these games are fun. I have yet to question if the finals is fun, or if X Defiant is fun, or if Concord is fun. I keep running into the same thing. Why am I coming back in 5 months? Your game is disposable. Like, that's just earth-shattering to face down, but your game is disposable. It's just another arena shooter with a twist. And I think people are sick of those. I think they're tired of the condensed down, stripped down, claustrophobic meat grinder of run, I'm dead. Run, they're dead. Run, we won the round. Run, they won the round. Just put me out of my misery. I have no, and I know my bias is showing here. I have no desire to play a game like that for months and months and months. Why aren't you coming back after 5 months? Because it's so easily replaced. There's so many other games coming out. First Descendants tomorrow. You got Rivals. You got Valorant. Both coming to console. You got monolithic, colossal-sized PvP games already in the market, like Fortnite, Apex, Warzone, PUBG. You can't point to Splitgate. They shut down to work on their sequel, though. I can point to Splitgate. I'm not talking about how they shut down. They rose to crazy prominence, didn't have enough server queues, and a month later, all their numbers fell. Their numbers fell way before they decided to start working on the other game. Trust me, I followed that game. I played that game. I played that game with y'all. And that game was Icarus. Just whoop. Hey, we don't even have enough servers. Crash. The player numbers fell very quickly. There's no compelling reason to come back. There's no narrative. There's no... I mean, I guess in Concord there's a narrative. But again, if... Okay, here's the other reason I'm concerned about this game. One of the things they're hanging their hat on for you to come back is story. A cinematic every week. That feels foolhardy to me. That feels off target. Hey, PvP guys. Hey, arena hero shooter fans. Do you want to come play our game? It's not free, and don't worry. We're going to make sure you have a story cinematic every week. Who the frick are you targeting with that? Who? We don't even get regular cinematics in Helldivers. It would make sense in that game. Helldiver. Like, they'd, pop up, and they do little announcements, and they do little, quirky videos on Twitter. But, who are they targeting with this? Like, what hero shooter, arena shooter, PvP fan is going to say, oh, yeah, I can't wait for that weekly cinematic? You need to be invested in the characters to care about their story. I'll admit, the cinematics for the characters and introductions, like when they were, adding characters to Apex Legends, I'll admit some of them were pretty cool. Do you think the lion's share of the people playing Apex give a rip about any of that? Do you think the lion's share of the people playing Overwatch care about the cinematics and the characters? I just don't think so. I could be completely out in left field on this. But I feel like I spent a really long time interacting with people who like PvP and interacting with people who don't. They're very different. if they're very different. And all the people that I've ever interacted with at PvP, they're not like, you know what this PvP needs? It really needs more story. It really needs more cinematics. You know what I'm saying? Adding cinematics for PvP players is like adding PvP maps for PvE players. Yeah, it only goes so far. If it feels genuine, then you have my attention. Eventually, though, they all expose themselves as padding, and I care less and less about what you're doing. Let me give you another what for here. All right. Part of what makes games like this, what gives them longevity, is the ease with which you can come back or start brand new. And they have a price point, $40, and they're doing a weekly cinematic. So let's say in 3 months, they do an update or a new character, and they do something that causes a surge of interest. Maybe they add a new mode, and a couple of your big streamers are singing its praises. How are the cinematics going to be experienced at that point? Like, have they thought about that? If I've not touched your game for a month or 2 or 3 months or whatever, what happens when I come back? What happens? Do I have like 16 cutscenes waiting for me? Or do I just get a random cutscene that feels detached from everything else going on? Do you see what I'm saying? It's just an interesting experiment. Yeah, you're going to need some kind of a recap, right, Sven? Some kind of a... the story so far. Again, I've talked about this before. Anytime you build a live service game, you need new player onboarding. Last night, when my wife and I booted up Deep Rock Galactic, they have taken 0 effort for new player onboarding. She got through the tutorial, which the tutorial was not helpful at all and was poorly designed. And then I just backed her out of it. I was like, I don't know what this game is doing. It's not telling you what to do next. Like, it taught her how to do her grappling zipline. I was upstairs at the time. I come back down. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I don't know. It stopped giving me instructions. I was like, okay. Back her out of the tutorial. She gets to the main base in Deep Rock Galactic, and it's like, congratulations, you just got this, 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 and this. I was like, apparently you just got like a mountain of stuff. I don't know what the stuff is. I don't know where to go get the stuff, but you just got a bunch of stuff. Okay, now where do we go? How do we get started? How do I edit your character? How do I get your character set up? How do I change your loadout? I don't know. It didn't tell me. Now, I walked around while she was going through the tutorial, like when she first started. This is before I went upstairs. I walked around the ship and figured it out all on my own. But that's something that games have to consider. Deep Rock Galactic made it very difficult for my wife and I to just jump in as new players. It didn't show us where anything was. It didn't tell us what to do. It just drops you in the game. After it teaches you how to like dig and harvest and throw flares. Like, that's pretty much what it teaches you how to do, and then it just sets you loose in the game. It doesn't even walk you through on how to like get ammo back, which is why the last time we tried to play it, we just put it down. Like, I just loaded up a mission and we were like, oh, this will be fun. We'll kill bugs and harvest materials. And we were fighting bugs for a really long time and having a blast. And I was like, I'm out of ammo. She's like, I'm out of ammo. I'm like, I don't know how we get ammo. Nobody's dropping ammo. I'm just using Deep Rock Galactic as one example. I've heard similar things about Destiny. Like, when a new player jumps into Destiny's just like, yeah, good luck. There's 85 things you can do. Like, once you have that understanding, buddy, you jump into a game like Destiny or Deep Rock, and you know where everything is, and you know where all the new stuff is, or all the changes, you're good to go. So it's, a game like Concord has to consider exactly what I'm talking about. Like, what are you going to do in a month or two if somebody decides, hey, I want to check out that game? You also have to consider it's more than that. Like, what if they decide to go free to play eventually? What if they just decide, you know what, or lower the cost? Like, let's have a sale. Let's try to get, free weekend, or let's do a big sale and let's sell the game for $10. these are all things that, if done properly, can really, really help a game. But if not handled properly, you're going to end up with a bunch of people coming in that have no clue what's going on, because the engine of relevancy is a weekly cutscene. To me, the game just feels thematically confusing to me. It's like a bunch of guys from Destiny wanted to make their own PvP game, but they can't shed that desire to create interesting, plucky, humorous characters. Like, they can't resist that urge. Get your rock off my map. Like, they can't resist to create those quirky little comedic moments. And it's like, so instead of just building a PvP game, they've tried to kind of do both. And to me, it ends up feeling thematically confusing. Halo 7 has a new lead designer. According to Insider Gaming, they have hired Dan Niadi as the new lead designer for Halo 7. He previously worked as the lead designer on Hyenas at Creative Assembly. Didn't that game die, Hyenas? During his time there, he was a designer at Bungie. At Bungie, he worked on both Destiny titles as well as various expansions. After speaking with a ton of cool teams about rad projects, I'm getting a shot to work with the Chief and friends. I love Halo, and I'm very excited to be a part of adding to its legacy. I'm just going to say it. All right? I'm just going to say it. The more fresh perspective they can bring, the better. You got to get people out of the room that are insisting... You got to get people out of the room that are insisting on keeping it like Halo. Like, I just think you got to get those people out of the room. Oh, Hyenas was canceled. Destiny still has the same lame gameplay loop, though. You'll be doing all the usual stuff. Sounds like you're describing old school games to me where you just had to figure it out. Oh, for sure. For sure, Kumi. Like, I was super thankful that I could look up, like, how do I make ammo? Like how do I do it? How do I make ammo in your game? And it was like, oh, you just have to destroy the red rocks. And after you destroy the red rocks, you can call down a resupply. And when you call down the resupply is going to give you ammo. And I'm like, oh. Halo? No. It's time for a new era. I've argued it before, and I will argue it until I'm dead. Halo simply cannot live in the present day as just another Halo. It can't. I don't think it can. It will only appeal to people who like classic Halo, and everybody else will say, I'm good. They're like, I'm good. If you want new people to check out your game, if you want new people to care about your game, you have got to take the risk of saying, we have got to give it the Doom 2016 treatment. It doesn't need to be like Doom. That's not what I'm saying. It doesn't need to be like Doom. But when people saw Doom 2016, they said, that's a Doom for a modern age. And we need a trailer for Halo that does the same. You'll alienate the hardcore and the casuals won't give. I don't think alienating the hardcore matters anymore. I think the game's been out for too long. I think a lot of the hardcore player base has moved on. Yeah. I don't think it matters. I don't think the game can live off the hardcore. I think you need to find a new audience. A bigger and a broader audience. Not make it open world? No, yeah, absolutely not. No, you honor where it has come from. Linear storytelling, repeatable missions, compelling enemies with really, really great animation sets and difficulty thresholds. Go back to what made the game great, but you got to give it the modern treatment. It can't feel like some old, slow, sluggish Halo from the past. It's got to feel like it's been given a kick in the rear. And if they don't do that, then they'll get the same results that they'll always get. The hardcore player base will say this isn't Halo enough, and the people that have never really been a fan of Halo will say it still looks and smells and feels like Halo. No more half measures. No more half measures. Make it completely different. Like, I'm sorry, not make it completely different. You've got to basically make it something fresh and new. It can't feel like an old game anymore. Hardcore Halo player base isn't playing Halo. Part of the problem is with Halo is the team isn't Bungie. A new team isn't going to care as much for a project that isn't theirs. 115. Oh yeah, the Discord updates are pretty fast. Hang on one second. I'm gonna get Kirk on the line, but I gotta mute the browser. There we go. Okay. Studio was really made to make Halo games. What's going on here? Oh, there we go.
Damn, you must have run out of stuff to talk about. You called me early.
5 minutes early?
Yeah. Usually you're like, oh, God, I got to call Kirk.
I don't know if I've ever said that.
No, it's more of a general tone thing.
Well, I had to go get groceries off of my porch.
Oh.
And I was hoping that it would be like, it was going to happen like quarter till, and I was going to like call you early and like let you get started. So when I went up to get the groceries and come back down, it threw everything off.
Okay, let's make sure we get my my audio right this time.
Yeah, I just turned down so I have to do this thing in OBS. It's like a filter that adds gain, because when I watch these live events, sometimes their audio is just, I don't even understand what they're doing. It's like super, super low. And so I had that on when I talked to you, which was the problem.
And what was the effect of that?
Well, the gain made you louder than you needed to be.
Oh. See, and I was worried it wasn't my headset mic, but I think what it was is just that, like, for a headset, like, this mic is really good, but if you crank up the volume like that, it starts to crack and you start hearing, the fact that it's not like a boom mic if it's that high decibel wise. So I was like, is that my mic? Like, that sounds kind of bad.
Nope, not you. It was totally my settings in OBS.
Apologies to everyone who listen to me yell with that.
They're probably just used to like having to turn it down when you start talking.
Oh my god. Just all the way down? Just the mute?
No. I'm not being that unkind. Just a little bit. They're like, this little whippersnapper's kind of loud. Let me turn this down. That's how my audience talks. They're all old. They're at work and they're grumpy.
Who's this guy Lono's talking to?
Like, who's this young whippersnapper yelling about video games? And then they just turn you down. Okay. I'm getting a bunch of videos for us here.
Let me jump in and see what chat's doing. Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, Dave. Good morning, Kevin. It was I got a haircut a while ago, my friend. What's up, Ravenstorm? Dude, Lono, I think I might hit 3,000 today. We'll see. I'm pretty close.
Subs. Yeah, your video is doing good. Yeah, you have to focus on, and I focus on the same thing. Like so the reason I'm tuned into it is because I'm trying to do the same thing. Usually, when I record my final segment of a video, I feel like I'm talking at a better cadence and speed, and when I open a video, I'm like more measured and careful. And basically what I want to do is I want to shoot out of a cannon at the beginning of the video to like get everybody's attention. And like your video was in a similar way. I was like, oh, he's too slow. Like you got to pick up the pace at the beginning a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because you can talk very quickly, and so can I. And I feel like we do ourselves a disservice when the opening of the video is like it's like a slow start.
Yeah, I like doing my little like IGN LARP thing. But yeah, no, especially if it was like if I ever start doing videos kind of like your uploads where it's like, let's dive into this thing, then like, yeah, like that's kind of what I did with Rise of Ronin, right? Like I was like, I've been playing a lot of this and I want to talk to you about it. And like, I feel like that like resonated with people. It's just like different kind of vids, I think, I don't know if I don't different styles.
I don't mind the B-roll. Just the minute you start talking, you need to increase the words per minute. It's just a little slow.
Okay.
It's almost like
I do like the narration thing. So you're saying like do more of the Kirk thing. Just start.
Yeah, let Kirk shine a little bit more than like, is Kirk working for NPR all of a sudden? I was like, what just happened? You know what I'm saying? That puts your stamp on it. Like that puts you more in the video.
That
right?
was Michael Jones with the newest album from.
Like, but if you come out of the gate and you're like, the First Descendant's going to be a masterclass in live service, like you're going to grab people's attention and they're going to sub.
It's just not that type of video though. I don't know. If I ever start doing what you do, then yeah, I would do that. But you got to have a different type of audience for that. I think. I'm already getting shredded by people for being like, "How dare you review this game?" And I'm just like, "What? Like, what do you mean?" Like,
I get the same thing.
Like,
I got the same thing. My First Descendant video has all these people that are like, "It's gonna be fine. Why are you hating?" I'm like, I'm not hating. Yeah. I'm like, they could totally go scummy with the micros. We don't know. They won't show us. All right,
well,
I'm
glad you guys want me to shine bright like a diamond.
Yeah, that's it. That's the advice. All right, I'll be right back, guys. Keep telling Kirk to talk faster in his videos. All right, I'll be right back.
Just not here. Hall's gaming. I'll do whatever I like. No, it works. I don't know. Come on, man. Don't hate. I only really do that type of thing when I know they're not gonna do their own. As soon as I saw that they had a review in progress up on the website and they didn't have a video, I was like, oh, it's game time. Like I knew we were gonna do numbers with that one. What games am I playing at the moment? Other than preparing and getting this review out, God, what have I been playing? Dead by Daylight. Been playing a lot of Dead by Daylight. Been playing a lot of Marvel Snap. Those would be the two main games I've been playing recently. Yeah. In the background, so I just try to go with like the vibe for the game that we're talking about today. So that's like hot Asian women. I guess Bayonetta is not Asian. But obviously like there's a certain aesthetic there. So this is R Racing Evolution on the GameCube. That's from quite a while ago. I think that's from like 2003. And we got Bayonetta on the right. I guess y'all's left, right? And Deus Ex for kind of that like futuristic type of feel. Oid, I did not jump into Elden Ring because I want to give that the time and attention it deserves. Yeah, Adam Jensen is a hot Asian woman, absolutely. When I think of hot Asian women, I think of Adam Jensen. Just it's the first thing that comes to mind. God, I gotta pull it together after that one. Yeah, so Elden Ring. That's right. I wanted to give that the time and attention it deserves, and I knew that this review was going to be coming up. I knew that Zenless Zone Zero was going to be coming out. I knew that I was going to be in the middle of Dead by Daylight's anniversary, like their yearly celebration, and I do like to come back for that. I don't play Dead by Daylight year round, but I like to play during the summer for their anniversaries and during like spooky season, like Halloween. So I wanted to participate in that. So like a lot of live service stuff going on, and I didn't want to be like bouncing between that and Elden Ring. So as Dave mentions, Stunlock Studios was kind enough to give me a code for V Rising. So we did have a very good Twitch stream of that, which was like 4 hours long. Thanks for like a couple of you guys showed up, like 15 from the Lono crowd, I think, from the Reforge crowds. Thank you guys for being there. But we had a good time with it. And then that was just kind of like my holding me over game until all these games that are coming out now. But no, I didn't quit, Dave and Jaggy. I didn't quit V Rising. I was enjoying it. I just kind of beat all the bosses and accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. Lono, we've established that Adam Jensen is in the near the top for hot Asian women.
Wait, what? Who's that?
Adam Jensen is the protagonist of Deus Ex. It's a joke because I have two hot Asian women and Adam Jensen behind me. Anyway, Lona's got a string to shut up. Sorry. Yeah, with human augmentation, Adam Jensen can technically be anything he wants to be. Do I play Killer or Survivor? I typically play Survivor in Dead by Daylight because it's just, I don't know, they're very different experiences. But with the anniversary, I've been getting back into Killer, and oh my god, it's really fun, actually. And I'm not as garbage as I thought I was. I think the event is helping with that. It's kind of Killer-sided, but man, the variety that you get playing like one character to another, like the fact that you can be Ghostface, and then Michael Myers, and then Chucky, like in 3 consecutive games, and like how different that feels to control those different iconic characters. Like that game is something. I tell you what, the fact they're getting Lara Croft this month, we're in July now. The stuff that game is able to do, like getting Lara Croft, getting Alan Wake, getting Nicolas Cage, and all the iconic slasher film characters, like they're just full steam ahead with that one. Confuse Lono as best Lono. Hey, that's the motto I live by. I thought Asian women weren't allowed. Sadiqa, use your inside voice.
All right, tweets are sent.
Dude, Lono does look kind of like Adam Jensen.
Oh, the guy from Deus Ex?
Yeah. Look. You just need it's not really. You just need like actual sunglasses.
You could almost line that up with my reflection on the jewel case. If you just tilt it toward, like pull the bottom toward yourself and then lower it. You're trying to get it's not going to work. Like I could see myself in the reflection of the jewel case for a second. That would have been funny if we could get that lined up.
Adam Jensen cosplay for like Halloween stream or something. Just have to talk like this. Talk like Keanu Reeves. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
Why am I? Oh no, that's Nicolas Cage. Never mind. There was always that skit on SNL. It's like, why am I not in this movie? I want to steal the Declaration of Independence. And then he'd be like, Andy Samberg would be like, why am I not in this movie? And like the one time,
a feeling of rage and deranged sensibility washed over me.
Nick Cage came out and was a part of the skit once. It was really funny. All right, chat. There's the link in chat. We are going to head over to this discussion. First Ascendant, is this looter shooter done right? Well, we're about to find out. We're gonna be talking to Kurt. He's got a review up. I want to pick his brain a little bit on this one because I played it. I got a video on it, and we're going to be checking this one out tomorrow. So,
did you tweet?
I have.
Did you use the tweeter? You didn't tweet out this morning, by the way.
Yeah, I did. It was just a video, though.
Yeah, but like, you want a link for people to click, right? Like to be like, oh, I want to go there.
We've experimented with not doing that with videos because without the link, they seem to get more engagement. Like Twitter doesn't like links.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
Here we go. Thanks so much for checking out this video. We are going to be discussing The First Descendant. Is it looter shooter done right? I have a video up right now with my concerns about where this could go with the microtransactions. Some of you didn't like that video. Some of you did. Kirk is joining me. He has a review right now on his channel, What's New Video Game. So he'll be clickable in the description below. Make sure and check that out. I'm going to be ending my previous stream. We talked about Concord. Is it too much Destiny? And I also have an upload about Concord and why I think it looks worse. All right, so I'm going to redirect people over from that stream. And there's also a link in chat for you guys to click. As you come over, take a quick